Warm greetings. On behalf of W4W Foundation, welcome to another session of Friday Waters. The idea of Friday Waters is to wet the Fridays with fun and yet get fruitful content for the better understanding about the water matters in different possible ways. Friday Waters is an extension of our signature series, Wednesdays for Water. In Friday Waters, we have water talkies, book reading session, thesis club session, water arts, and meet a maestro. Today, we are having a session on book reading. The focus of book reading club session is to bring author or authors who have written books, novels, comics, or other manuscripts on the water matters in order to discuss with them the making of the manuscript and the issues around the subject covered. Besides bringing interest in the water conversation, the session also intends to increase the outreach of the manuscript in the water networks as well as society at large. This is Mansee Bal Bhargava from the House of W4W, and I'm also host for today. Today, we shall discuss the making of the book, namely Water.Ideas for Life. And to do the honor to discuss the book, we have Suresh Madampil, the author of the book. And I had a chance to meet him just a few months ago at Ahmedabad University, where he was invited as a keynote speaker for our water studio. So thank you so much, Suresh, for accepting my invitation and also taking out time to do this session with us. Before I invite you to engage in a conversation, so this is going to be an interaction between you and me about the book and just get to know more about you as well as about the book. I would like to introduce your background to all our participants and to keep on record. Suresh Madampil is a water technologist and entrepreneur with over 25 years in water treatment, exploring water's profound impact on our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. He is founder of Suham Group, an enterprise focusing on sustainable water, water treatment, and wastewater solutions. He developed his insights, which he shares in talks and publication, encouraging people to view water beyond just a resource. He presents his book, Water Ideas for Life, program globally, inspiring many to understand water's vital role. This is also the kind of a background which we are going to discuss actually. He is delving into what the science of water, the culture, and the mysteries to show understanding how understanding unlocks life-changing possibilities for balance and health. And I had the privilege to actually hear him live. So it was really, I must say, inspiring and eye-opening to large extent. So let me now invite you for your opening remarks on conceptualizing and making of the book, and then we will take the content inside the book to go further. Suresh, over to you, and thank you so much once again for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, Mansee. It is very nice to meet you after a long time. Okay. So it was very good to see your nice introduction. Thanks for that. As you rightly said, the last 25 years, I am into this water. Just coming out from my colleges, I just get into the water as my job. Unfortunately, I was taking care of the erection and commissioning of the water treatment plant. That was where my career is started. So you know that the commissioning is involved a lot of chemical, physical, and biological matter, which I wanted to commission. Not only the commission the plant, and I have to handing over this plant. So as a part of this handing over process, the training was one of the main area where I wanted to teach the chemists and the operators about the functioning of the various water treatment system. So, you know, when you are doing the training, it will be sometimes it is very difficult to talk to the hours about the chemical reactions and other thing. So my for making that sections a training session interested, so I used to hunt for some water stories so that I can engage with the operators. So where my relationship with the water is started in terms of storytelling actually. So over a period of time, you know, this collection of the stories and collection of this detail has made me to think over a small program called Water Ideas for Life, which I used to conduct from 2014 onwards as a part of my job profile or a commitment to the society. So it was a small program around 45 to 1 minutes, an interactive section where I talk about water, mysticism of water, and how the religion used the water, and how water can be used in your physical, emotional, and well-being in general. So then I got so much of appreciation from this market vendor who are listen to this thing, and they were insisting me to write a book about this thing. So finally, I was able to write a book in 1 year back and published it. So it was a small journey I taken up, and I think to now today I'm here with you.
Thank you so much. This is really very humane way of putting things together, because something which you were thinking over time, it was growing inside you, and then you were sharing with people, and then it took the shape of a manuscript which we are seeing today. And I had the fortune of having the book and also reading the book. This is something which I really appreciate about the Friday Waters book reading session, is that I am actually pushing myself to read minimum one book on water every month. I mean, as a student, we always try to dodge doing things which are important in life, and we do everything mundane around. Again, because it's really fun to talk with you about these spiritual aspects, and
Mhm.
that's why I really find it extremely important that having this Friday Water book reading session at least has disciplined me in last 4 years to read some books which I may otherwise not read, you know and that includes from scientific publication to soft publication like yours. So yours in that sense will be called as a soft publication, as I call it. So it's very important that people know that science can also come in different formats. I mean, knowledge can be brought in different formats as well. And for me, that is important, that I, as W4W, we actually don't focus only on science, but citizen science, something that all of us can understand, that all of us can interact with each other. So let me just go to the logistics of the book before we get into the further interaction. The book, Water Ideas for Life, was published by Notion Press in 2024, and the book is available in Amazon, Flipkart, Barnes and Noble, and Notion Press. And I'm going to share the information in the chat box for participants, which is also going to be available to all YouTube participants as well. The book has two sections. The section one is water, where it all begins. The section two consists of water ideas for life, which is also the title of the book. And the section one, where it all begins, has 16 chapters, very small chapters. So that is also a good thing about this book, because I also had read 600, even 800, 1200 pages book for Friday Waters. And in that sense, this book is really small with 300 pages. Then section two, Water Ideas for Life, has 15 chapters. Any specific reason that you have the book in only two broad chapters? Or does it really tell your journey as that you want to categorize it into two parts? And then we can take each section with chapter wise. Suresh.
Yeah, see, basically, when I started writing this book, because initially it was come as a flow, and it was compiled with so many things. Actually,
Hmm.
this book is basically as uh, compiling so many aspects of water. Actually,
Hmm.
so it makes sense to make it in two parts. The first part is actually all about water. Okay, like
Hmm.
what is the mysteries of the water, what is the anomalies of the water, why water as treated differently in every religions and other thing. Okay, so each what I done it that each chapter I given one subject I taken and put it as one chapter and talk about only that particular matter actually. So when you talk water as a wall, it have different perspectives like a chemical perspective, biological perspective, religious perspectives. All those things are there. So maybe the audience or a reader may not be able to interested in all part. But some may interest in the religious or spirituality, some may interested in the science like that. So we made it in small chapters, so that what will happen if you don't want to go into that detail, so you can skip that chapter easily and focus on the next chapter, and still you will get what you want. So that was about the first chapter. Like the second idea of making the chapter, many of the things when I talk about the things may not be scientifically proven as on today, because we have a limitation, because we know only a few percentage of what is happening in our world. Actually, the balance 95-98% in my perspective, when I am in 25 years I am in the water, but I may only know maybe 1 or 2%. So the balance 98% is unknown to me. So what will happen, there are area when I talk about certain subjective, I may not be able to prove it in a scientific way, prospect the evidence based way, but it's there, it is available. So that awareness I created in the first part. And the second part is water is ideas for life. It is only between us and water. So how we born with the water, how we raised with the water, what is happening into the water, what is dehydration, and what are all the ideas where water can play in your role in our life, and how we can take care of the water so that water can take care of us. So this is the second part of the thing. So in one shot, my book can be read from front to back or back to front. So someone wanted to get into the ideas of life, please read from the last chapter to the backwards. Or you wanted to understand a comprehensive knowledge about the water in a 360 point of view, so it can be read from front to back. So whichever way, is the ultimately what will happen, you will be getting what you are looking for.
And that's a very nice way to put it. And you are so true that actually the beauty while I was reading the book was you don't need to read the book in an order. Every
Yeah.
chapter is complete by itself, so you can read one chapter, sit back, relax, and you can actually forget the book for a few days, because I already have it for months now. And then go back, and then you really don't have to go through, okay, I have read chapter 1, so I need to know what happened in chapter 1, then only I can read chapter 2. It's not written like that. So from chapter 2 I can straight away jump to chapter 15, and then go back to chapter 4, then go back to 2, then go back to 14 or seconds. And for some time when I was going through it, I was trying to uh, put my head into, should I relate chapters from chapter section 1 to section 2, or how should I read it? Because I the thing is that it allowed me flexibility to read the book. And I felt too much of flexibility for me was putting me in an indisciplined manner. And to be honest, I read that part two first, as I had heard you live, because you were talking to the young minds on how to conduct life or how to conduct yourself. So I was more intrigued to read the section two first, because even with 30 years in water, I was taking myself for granted that I know enough in section one. So, I mean, I'm just, submitting to you very honestly. But then we will go through now each section, and we will not jump from here and there. We will take section, one section at a time, to put our audience in a nice way. So otherwise the book gets confusing. So while you will respond next time, I will put all the other information in the chat box for our audience. So we'll go through section one. So actually, after few times when I was reading section two, then some chapter in section one, then some chapter in section two, so I was playing a game with my mind to make sense of how life is linked with water. Because again, taking myself for granted that, okay, I know enough about water. Let me see how Suresh is trying to link the knowledge of water with the knowledge of life, or living for that matter. And after that, I thought that, okay, I can't be acting over smart. I should just focus on reading one part and then go to the next part. But as I said, I read the part two first because of hearing you live, and also getting some mantras of life. So we will still go on part one first, because that's the foundation of part two also. And I assume that you may have also written not in an order as it is presented in the book, because it's over time mentioned. So I'm assuming you also wrote some chapters of section one, sometimes some chapters of section two, sometime over your lifespan when you wrote this book. But to be more disciplined for the session's sake, for the audience sake, we'll take section 1 and go to section 2 later on. So is that
So,
fine with you?
yeah, it's absolutely fine. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep it like that. Otherwise, it gets very confusing because I confused myself for nearly a month when I was jumping between chapters. So, I
Yeah.
would like to actually first get straight away into the preface of the book where you mentioned that science and faith have often seemed to be at odds. And I recall a conference I attended where science meets religion in Bhopal long time ago, and it was organized by the government and Ministry of Environment. But what do you mean by that, and why do you think this conflict exists? And what new perspective are you inviting us to really look at or consider it through your understanding of both?
Yeah. See, actually, when you look it into our civilization perspective, actually, we were the hunters, then we gathered and we settled in small settlement near the banks of river. And any kind of settlement you see in all over the world, we are nature worshippers, basically. Okay.
Hmm.
So water was played a very good role because water is the second most important element we required in your life after the oxygen. And
Hmm.
so after oxygen, the water is the second most important one. And based on that perspective, and any kind of work you are doing in the past, like we are basically an agriculture oriented, hunting from the agriculture. All those things was depend upon the water, actually. Okay. So many religions or many culture has been taken water as an element. And if you see that today, if you see any religion, any culture you take it, you have so many goddess. It was the deity which is related
Hmm.
to the water and fire and other thing like that. So even if you see that in my knowledge is right, I can show you more than 350 deities in various things, even starting from Varuna in Hinduism
Hmm. Hmm.
to
Hmm.
the Poseidon to the Greek, and all those things are there. So it was always given a god kind of this thing, and we men's or we peoples are try to worship the water
Hmm.
for this thing,
Like
actually.
even
So
our
yeah,
rivers, name of the
river,
rivers are
yeah,
all
correct.
god,
Except the
goddesses,
Brahmaputra, all our rivers are in the feminine name,
mothers.
actually. So it is
Yes.
water as considered our mother, and the life is begin with the water, and all those things are started. So slowly, what happened, because this divinity was created a lot of problem into the water also. So what
Hmm.
will happen till 17th century? Nobody was done any kind of research into the water because of two reasons. One reason is about that when you touch the divine and find out something is there, it will create a lot of problem for the Galileo story and all those things.
Yes.
So people was afraid of that thing, actually. So nobody was. And second, water was abundance that time, actually. Nobody was
Yes.
care about that thing, and investing in water for the research was a very cheap things. Nobody will get paid for that thing. So
Hmm.
during industrialization time also, the importance of the water has gone in the last 50, 60 years, and exactly telling the last 30 years only, we were talking about the water scarcity or something. Otherwise it was very simple. Our relation is water is a cheap commodity, whether for a person or a family or an industry or a nation. It was a cheap commodity. Nobody wanted to do that. So when the last 30 years, there are a lot of scientific experiment and happened. So people are come with so much of revelations. Okay. So what will happen? The controversial revelations were taken place, like memory of the water, the fourth
Hmm.
stages of water, and the mystery which the water is playing in your life, in the life and in our surroundings. People are come with so many theories, so many half-baked informations like that. So what happened? The science was the rationalized thinking is the thinking they need the evidence to prove a point. The others is telling that it is not there because it was always there, and because of our limitations of the limited scientific experiment or a scientific the moreover like our equipments are not made it to in that way where we can find out the mysteries of the water, make a scientific evidence. So both the fractions, the philosophical fraction or a religious or cultural fraction, as well as the scientific fraction, always are fighting each other. The biggest example I can tell you, the homeopathy. Okay, the homeopathy one thing is there now. Certain fraction of the people are believing that homeopathy is a science and is a medicine. The others is telling that it is not a science, it is not a pseudoscience, because what will happen, homeopathy is based on the medicine has been made based on the memory of the water. It is
Hmm.
actually you are taking an element, diluting to a stages, 10,000 times, 40,000 times, or 50,000 times. You are diluting that one, so to a level that there is no mixer is present there, but the effect is there. That effect has memorized. That memory, not memory is sufficient of effect, will taking into the body and it's healing. But people are not. Certain science are not accepting that thing. They are telling that it is only a placebo effect. Okay, because placebo effect you are treating, but you are giving that credit to the homeopathy. So like that many is there. So the before starting the book itself, I just told that too, that when you wanted to understand this book, keep away your scientific and religious perspective. Just or approach this one with an empty glass, so that what will happen, your knowledge will share, and finally end of the day, after reading the book, you take your own conclusions. If you are a scientific student, go into the scientific way. Religion is there, the religious way, whichever the way is there. End of the day, what will happen, the ideas for life will come into you through water, and it will benefit to you. That is what in preface I written.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For a person like me who defies following any religion, not as an atheist, but more as a someone who is unclear about what religion is, there were two things which I must put honestly here on disagreement. Probably one. The one is bias. You said water is second to air, and having been in water for 30 years, I feel water is before air. So it's like, for me, it's maybe it's a bias, but it is a good bias, because we saw during corona, and during corona I have been doing so many public talks, and one question I used to start my public talk with is with, imagine if coronavirus was waterborne. Because it was airborne, we could survive. You know, the
Yeah.
fatalities were much lesser. If it
Mm.
was waterborne, we would have actually extinguished from this whole planet, for that matter. So anyway, that is a slight disagreement with you in putting water into the second stage. Not that I am saying air is not important, but it's a soft disagreement. And the second part, which
Sorry, I
I
interrupt you, because why I am telling
sorry,
you
go
in that
ahead.
way.
No, that's
That way means
important.
you first you need the oxygen to survive, second the water to survive. In that
Yeah.
perspective, I am talking.
And good. I don't have a air pollution specialist here. Delhi is choking. Ahmedabad is choking right now, and
Yeah.
water pollution is not doing good anyway. So I had a, and the second part, which is, there is an agreement and disagreement both in that part. And agreement is that yes, water as a discourse came to the public domain only when the abundance got questioned, when climate change, when the crisis started emerging. So it's not even more than 5 decades that we started talking about water. Before that, it was in publishing, in worshipping mode or spiritual mode. This part I agree. What I did in my TED talk, as a speaker, is that the whole idea of water discourse from from concern or crisis is really making the water anxiety more, and the whole policy on water and water discourse is actually getting a wrong train or taking a wrong direction. Vis-a-vis, if we look at since antiquity, from Vedas till even looking at Confucius work, Tao's work, Rumi's work, I can go on and on, like you as well, I'm sure. But all our great philosophers, Aristotle for that matter, um, they looked at water also from the celebration side, along with the politics of water, which was also there that time. And so this is where I feel that if all of us keep talking about water crisis, and it undermines the very essence of celebrating water, which is also the beauty of your book, that there is a lot of celebrations. And that brings me to question of in your section 1, actually, which has some interesting points. And you talk about memories of water, mysteries of water, anomalies of water. And I'm sure some people who are here as participants, few of them have read. If not, do read from section 1. Read all the book, but we are talking right now on between chapter 3 and 6, the first part of section 1. Um, you Can you please elaborate about these mysteries and memories, and how do you personally experienced it to pen those words which are beautifully crafted in the book?
Yeah. So the mysteries you see in water is having the highest anomalies in any element you take it actually.
Hmm.
Science has proved that it is having more than 60 anomalies actually. Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
See, like why ice float, like that. That is the
Hmm.
one of the
Hmm.
anomaly. And the second thing what happened, we know that the gravitational force is pulling us because of that we can walk in the earth. So
Hmm.
then what? How the water will climb up to the tree, defying the gravitational force. And then when we are going to a seashore, when the wet sand, your feet will not sink, and the dry sand the feet will sink. But normal cases it should be ulta. It should be in the opposite,
Yes.
like that. No, so like that you take it into any kind of a situation. So like you jumping into the water will pull you. The more deeper you jump into the water, the opposite force is equally strong actually. Like that. If you look it into our day-to-day activities, you can see these anomalies very present actually. Okay. And
Hmm.
now we are thinking about that water is just a molecule like a H2O, two part of hydrogen and one part of oxygen. So with that only one molecule called water has come. But end of the day, the oxygen and hydrogen is abundant in nature. If we can get it in the nearby any industrial area, we can get this two oxygen gas. And if you put together, you will not get the water. So if
Hmm.
that is the cases, when the water scarcity will not be there, the Middle East will not be deploying for the seawater purification plan for that thing actually. Okay, so
Hmm.
it is just like a two common element joined together and made a compound. It is more beyond that actually. Okay, so that is playing a very active role in these anomalies, and because of that certain characteristics it is taking. That is why the reason in religion it is calling as a living water. It is considered as a living thing. Even the Jainism, that you can see that Jaina is thinking about that running water is a living water. That's why there is a reason the monk don't want to cross the water. Like that. Like that. Even when you do the baptism, the Jesus has used the water for purification. And in every Hindu culture, any homa or yajna or anything is happening, the first
Hmm.
thing what they will take the water into a pot and do some mantras and converting that one into a Ganga Jal, because they believe Ganga Jal is the ultimate purifier of that thing. Yeah. So when you are starting that puja, or when Christian is doing a baptism thing, yeah, they are basically using the memory of the water. So that means the water can hold the memory. So this is the one of the controversial thing.
Hmm.
There are thousands of years, every religion has believed, irrespective of geographical differences, they believe that water possesses the memory. So, but when it is coming into today, it is one of the controversial discovery. So I will tell you one example that Luc Montagnier, he's a virologist actually. He got the Nobel Peace of Praise in 2008 for inventing the HIV. He's the one person who got the as a group, one among the leader of that group got invented the human enverovirus, which will create the AIDS actually. So when he invented that virus, the world was celebrated him, given the given the Nobel prizes. But after few years, he told that water process the memory. Water is having a DNA kind of a structure. There
Yes.
information has been electromagnetically transmitted, and with some sensitive instruments we can collect it. When he told that thing, oh no no no, this is a pseudoscience, like that. It is similar to that. What will happen during the after the Second World War? The Russian scientist has taken some kind of a water called polywater. So they
Hmm.
arrived that in certain circumstances the water will become more dense, more gravity, more density, and more clusterly rearranged in certain thing. In that thing, it will work like a crystal kind of thing. It is more solid in nature, or they call it as a polywater actually. But that time what will happen? The Cold World War was happened. One side the America and the NATO side, the other side the Russian communist side. So they were taken that one into another level. Oh, these Russians are invented some water which is going to solidify all our water bodies and other things. So it was created into that kind of a stages. So, but it was nothing but the fourth phase of water. There is a
Hmm.
phase between the solid and liquid where water 10% more denser than the normal water. And that's why the reason that you can find out is easily find out from a droplet. When you are one
Hmm.
droplet is coming as a rain, it is in a oval shape. How that shape has come, and that particular water, when it is reaching into the surface also, it will hold that shape for a while, then spread it. So how they got into a shape? So the scientists has done that there is two kind of ions are there. It is not a water ion. There is a another ion, another form is called hydronium ion, and the another is called the fourth phase. So the hydronium ion, which is actually H3O, is inside. That is because of that it will get a shape, and the outside of the layer will have a fourth phase by that is nothing but H3O2. So which is giving the outer shape. So this push
Yeah.
pull force of the thing as creating the shape, and the same is the reason for the high surface tension. Okay,
Hmm.
like that is there. But these are all the things, only the theory. It is not practically named, practically come into the thing. So I given 2 3 chapters about narrating all
Yes.
those things. My one chapter is about the memory. The second chapter is about the fourth phase of the water, and the other chapter is about the other mysteries actually. So that is
Yes.
consisting of that three small chapter. In a very small way, I try to elaborate that points.
Yeah, actually, these chapters bring more questions and then you get more intrigue. That's the beauty of these chapters. Next, I would like to go to a section of a few chapters where, because it talks about, again, back to religion also, but then I think I will take that later. Uh, um, no, I think I should take it before because then I can go to better question later on or tougher question for you later on. But
Mm.
being an agnostic myself, I was more intrigued to go through chapter 10 to 14 and exploring how different religion and culture around the world view water. And let me tell you here, to you as well as to all the audience, actually in Water Studio in Ahmedabad University, I teach that and bring all different religions and culture and teach students that how water has been revered or celebrated across not only in the ancient times of different religion or beliefs, but also in modern art, all different forms of art, whether it is film or fashion or anything, how people have viewed water and celebrated water. But in your chapter, which what is very interesting to see is how you portray it and how different religions and cultures view water. Would you think the fundamental connection or maybe difference between the way water is viewed or in your experience, and do you see any convergence or is that convergence in value system or belief system or is it spiritual? What is it that you could find common and what something stands out between the different cultures and religions you talk about? And before you start answering, let me just address all the audience here. Please pose your questions or comments or views. If you want to interact with Suresh or put up your thoughts or your expressions and emotions, that's the very idea of doing these sessions. And I also wish to inform all our participants and audience here that We have been doing these sessions Monday, Wednesday, Friday, covering more than 420 sessions so far. This end of December, we will complete 425 sessions on water conversations in different ways, making us the longest water conversation ever taken place in the world, by the way. So feel free to engage. And I want to tell you before you again start answering this question is I was so genuinely interested to run a series on how water is looked at in different religion and culture. And trust me, I could not find speakers. We tried to find out fathers, we tried to find out Maulana, we tried to find out Panditji to speak on water for half an hour, but maybe it is my ignorance and my limited network and my friends who were trying to find speakers. We ended up having two hardcore professors, highly revered or respected professors, who presented to us how water is looked in Islam and water is looked in Hinduism, but not Hinduism per se, but in Vedas. And of course, we also had later on one more session when we could see how water is represented in Guru Granth Sahib. And for me, I mean, of course, these three sessions we could organize on our series, but I have also compiled a huge work, and of course there's a publication coming from my end on how water is looked at in different religion. It's a very straightforward inclusion of others' work put together as a compilation, and I am not making any interpretation or understanding out of it, just compiling it together. But last year in United Nations Peace Conference in China, I brought this whole idea that if water is becoming a meaning for conflict all around the world, when we see all kinds of wars happening, actually water has been a tool for peace all around the world. And if we look at the religious manuscripts or text or spiritual text, water has always been a peace and collaborator. And in your chapters, you have actually represented it very well. I mean, that is why my question to you is, do you see any difference or what is the convergence? I see convergence in peace, but maybe I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, okay. See, that is why the precisely I taken each religion into one chapter, so that
Hmm.
what will happen, they will get into, it will not be get mixed up actually, like that. So, in my perspective, what will happen, there is always a harmony between the religion in terms of water. There will not be any conflict of anything actually. But only the thing is there that um, well, let us take it in the religious by religion, because in Hinduism, what will happen in you talk about the Vedas, almost 25% of the Vedas is talking about the water. And
Yes,
and
that's the
if you
beautiful
look it
part.
into the, yeah, if you look it into the Vedas, you today whatever we see the gods are not existed there. They're the
Yes.
predominant goddess Indra or Varuna or all those things are there. And Rigveda having so much of, because in my book it started with an Rigveda prayer from the
Hmm.
Rigveda, like that.
Even
Today,
Ayurveda has so
yeah.
much of mention of
So,
water.
yeah, correct. There's so much of mentioned in that thing. And when it is coming into the Christianity, Jesus is considered as living water. There is a
Hmm.
church called the Living Water is existing there. So he has been telling that in the name of the water spirit, I am hereby purifying you, like that. In the
Yes.
Bible, it has been mentioned more than 700 times. The water
Yes.
has been mentioned, and
Same
there
in
is,
Quran, by the
yeah.
way, I was told.
And
Yes.
Quran is a most interesting thing. The Sharia. The Sharia, the
Yes.
meaning of the Sharia is way to water hole. The
Hmm.
Sharia is actually initially is started as a law for the
Hmm.
respect on the water. Later on
Hmm.
stages, because of the political things, is been expanded.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
real meaning in the Arabic Urdu, it is called as the way to water hole. So that is the
Hmm.
thing. And then if you look it into the Taoism, there is a beautiful
Yes.
religion
I am water.
based on the
Be
water.
like water.
Yeah, yeah. Be like water. Be like water. So there, that 500 pages of a small book of Taoism is fully written about that. If
It's
you be
about
like
water.
water, every situation you be like water, so that what will happen, you can tide over your
Mm,
all your problem there, your problem in your mind or problem in your outside world, you can do it. You just be like water, like that. So
mm,
then anywhere you take it, any religion or any concept, even buddhism
mm.
buddhism is
Yes.
the one of the thing. And one thing I wanted to highlight to this thing is there, that many things people are thinking that mythology or religions are based on the mythologism. But the
Mm,
problem what will happen to religions, in my perspective, because I have read at least for this the last 25 years, I must have read at least 150 to 200 religious
mm,
books on a repeated basis as a research of this my book. Bible I was read at least 10 times, Quran I read, all these things
mm,
happened. And then there you can see a fundamental things, that there are a lot of science also behind that, because they may
mm,
not be proved it. One example I will tell you about the Jains.
mm,
Actually, Jains have the agama. Okay, in
mm.
the
Yes.
agama, it is written that water has been made by two vayus. Okay,
Mm,
two air joined together, the water has been made. So you know that the
mm,
agamas has written maybe 2000 years back or 3000 years back. I
mm,
think it is
mm,
before Christ. But there also they were very clearly written that two air has joined together and formed water. But in science, only in the 18th century we came to know that the hydrogen and oxygen has joined together, it has become the
mm,
water. So like that.
mm,
So there are a lot of scientific perspective is there, religious perspective is there, and they use the water for treating the hydrotherapy. All those things are come into the picture. So I thought of that I has to give a perspective of each one, like starting from your
mm,
punyaham to voodoos to baptism to everything. So I made a
mm.
small chapter about that actually. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Very interesting. I just wish to quote a line from Quran's verse number 21 hyphen 30. And it's written that we have made from water every living thing. Then I go to a line from Guru Granth Sahib, and that is from page number 1020, and Ape Jal Thar Sagar Sarwar, which means God is equated with water, land, sea, and pool, signifying the strong divine connect we have. And as you rightly mentioned, and even in outside church, you can just you have this little purification. We in Islam, you have the purification system. Even Muhammad talks about no prayer is accepted without ablution, and his own life. And the best part I like from Quran is, do not waste even if performing ablution on the bank of a fast flowing large river. And he himself used to have his ablution with just one mud of water, which is two-thirds of a liter, and take bath with one sa of water, which is 3 liters of water. So it's not only talking about seeing water as God, but also giving how to conduct yourself, which is actually the part two of your own book, as ideas for life. And it can be understood where in what setting the Quran was written, and very well understood in that sense. But as you rightly mentioned, go to Jainism, the whole idea of the earth or cosmos is explained through the layout of land and water, and how land is between the water systems. And one of the things which I really love in Buddhism, a cultural tradition I'm sharing, as how how Vajnarayan, I may be pronouncing it wrong, pardon me for that, but the whole culture of purifying oneself at the old age to cleanse oneself, which we can again relate with the way we do, holy dip in Ganga. And, we tend to talk about purification and all sorts of things. So there are a lot of convergence which we can see across cultures, across religion for that matter. But what really caught my eyeball in the book, and also when you were talking in the keynote speech at Ahmedabad University, when you were making those nice drawings and very simple chemistry graphics and graphs and numbers and letters, small letters, when you started talking about that we are almost made up of 90% water at birth, and then we of course grow or reduce to 65 to 70% water, and again it starts reducing when we grow older. uh, Can you help us understand how deeply our all other organs, our health, our everyday function in the body really gets influenced by the way water is managed inside the body? If we understand how to manage water inside the body, probably we will understand better how to
Mhm.
manage water outside in the society, in the city, in the neighborhood. Over to you,
Yeah.
Suresh. Yeah.
Yeah. See, actually, our relationship with the water is starting from our first cell, the zygote.
Yes,
It called that
yes,
zygote.
yes.
So we basically not born in the womb. We born in a tube. That's why the test tube
Yeah.
is very famous actually.
Yes.
When zygote is formed in the tube, and then water is guiding us to the womb. From there it is starting. The tube to the connection between tube to the this thing. It was the first. The Google map for our we as a cell is the water, and then we enter into our womb. Initially, we are a hard ball, very small peanut
Mm,
ball kind of thing. Then slowly, inside the our shell is filled with the water, proteins, and certain amino acid and certain other
mm,
DNA functionaries, and this ball will become a hollow ball kind of thing. So inside is filled with the water. In the same time, when we are in our mother's womb, in the outside also there is an amniotical fluid is forming. So
mm,
basically, what will happen in our womb stay itself, we are inside of the water and the outside also of the water. The first
mm,
sense what we know in is the water actually. So by the time we reach it to 3 or 4 weeks of our life in the womb, so what will happen? A lot of development is happening, taken place, and we are just in a very comfortable position in the amniotic fluid. This fluid has taken us from any kind of a temperature differences or any kind of nutrient requirement, oxygen requirement, and everything has been taken care by this 800 to 1 liter of water. And inside,
mm,
we as a fetus, we have nothing but 99% of the water initially. Then slowly, it was our all the organs has been developed, and every organ is nothing but a container of the water actually. Okay, so slowly we came to know about all the five senses, and the famous Abhimanyu story. So how Abhimanyu
mm.
was learn about the Chakravyuha
Yeah.
thing in that thing. So my second part of the book is started with that story only, how he came to know,
Yes.
because irrespective whether that is happened or not separate, but how the Veda Vyasa is narrated the story, which is beautifully linked with the water and other thing. That is a very
Mm,
good story. So in the 9 months, what will happen? Whatever we learning from the inside of the womb is through the water only. So that's why the reason when our mother is not drinking enough water, they will get a morning sickness. So like
yes.
that, it is connected to that thing. Even that when if you are surprising to note that if your mother is eating something, is creating a habit for food habit to you. Even to this food,
Absolutely.
that the certain of the food which my mother is to make it to me, still I like to that thing. This is that
Mm,
that connection. All this connection is happening into the thing. So I have made so many different chapter, taken each and everything into how each one is each one is influencing our thought process and our development process. And finally, what will happen after 9 months of our womb stay, when this water is broke, we come into the light, and we are
mm.
not happy with that water. That's why we are crying, because we are so comfortable in our this thing. When you are coming out with a new situation, we can, so every baby is born with a cry because we are
Yes.
missing the
The
water.
comfort zone is out, is gone.
Has gone. And then what will happen? 90% when you are born, you are 90% water. Every organ you take, your brain is 85% water. Your
Mm,
liver is a 75% water, and your any organ, even the toughest organ of your bone itself is 20% water, like
mm,
that. So from there onwards to when you reach it to an adulthood, there are various
mm,
stages of water regulation is taken place, and finally when you are an adult, you are nothing but 70% of the water. And when you are as you reaches into the later stages of your life, like 70 years, 80 years, still you have 60 to 65% of the water. So
mm,
you are nothing but 70% of the water. So when you take care of 70%, your body is 70% of the water. So when you take care of 70% of your 70%, you score a 70% mark, you are a good student.
You are passing
You're a
in exam.
first class student. That is what I wanted to make it. Please take care of your water and be a good
Yes.
student. You know.
Yeah, that is so well put. And the thing is, because again, like you, I have been also teaching and talking about water around the country and now around the world. What surprises me and saddens me to large extent is that we take our body so much for granted, and we don't have this knowledge also about ourselves, and we want to know the world. We are not investing enough time to know ourselves, to put ourselves into the well-being zone, and the fact that we are a bag of water. And that's exactly what I talk about in my TED talk also, that we are actually a bag of wastewater, and we are constantly cleaning ourselves every day by consuming and making ourselves a better human being, health wise, emotionally, intellectually, everything. Every day we want to be better than yesterday. And that is kind of a, wastewater getting purified. You may look at it spiritually, you may look at it scientifically, but it is true. But the way water education happens or does not happen in our society, uh, water is actually not taught in from that angle. The fact, the way we look at the sun, moon, the birds, the trees, okay, they are there, they can exist. So we are not really attentive to it. We are not acknowledging their presence, appreciating the presence. And the irony is the same we do with the 70% water that we carry. So it's I mean, I would really like in my lifetime to change people's perspective of looking at life. Instead of thinking that I have 70% water, instead of that, I would like people to think in that way, that the water is carrying me and I am not carrying the water.
Yes.
It has to be other way around. Probably then we will have enough humility to look at water the way it should be looked at, rather than the way we look at that here is a resource, let us appropriate as much as we can, let us abuse as much as we can, misuse as much as we can. And we can go on statistics, both of us, because you are
Yeah.
in your professional life treating wastewater, and I'm talking about lakes and water management all my life as well. But if people start looking at water from the spiritual side, acknowledge, appreciate, I think we are going to deal with water very differently. We are going to deal with rivers, lakes, ponds, sea fronts very differently than the way we do it today, because the whole idea of revering the rivers, the whole idea of respecting, has somewhere taken a backseat. We have forgotten the very underscoring aspect or value that water gives us, and the value has become more monetary value. So in some way, I would like to share with you the word priceless. In
Yeah.
economics, in microeconomics, this is a very important word, and it connects very well with human behavior and spirituality. Priceless can be looked in two ways. It has no value, no price, so useless stuff. You are just ignorant about it, or it is so priceless that you cannot put a price tag. It has a spiritual notion, it has a bequest value, that it has to exist forever. At the back of the mind, we have that notion, but at the foreground of our actions, we have the other value, you know
Yeah.
the no value or zero value, but at the back. Or because I mean, many people, when they say that they don't know these data or these basic facts about water, I say, then you take out the 70% water out of your body, and then you give me that water, and you go and live your life. Don't carry that water if you don't respect or understand that you are being carried by that water. You have a shell, and the water
Yeah.
is carrying you. So these are something very interesting. And every chapter I was reading from your book, and I was like, okay, this guy could write so well, and I keep talking about it, and I could relate so much about all these things which you were talking about. And when you talk about this water's property to mental clarity, emotional balance, mood, and energy, I was also thinking and linking it with my personal interest of looking at microeconomics or human behavior. And the biggest question I have in life actually, why we behave in the way we behave. And I'm talking about this question from water's perspective, How can we be so ignorant about water? How can we be so polluting about water? In everyday life, whether it is washing the vegetables, to flushing, to washing clothes, to washing cars, to throwing garbage into the roadside, because every garbage gets into the water bodies, having working on lakes and rivers now for 30 years. It pains me that are we not thinking? And I would like to quote here from Rumi actually, the water that flows in you flows in me, and it's the same water that flows in the rivers and lakes and ponds, which is outside. So, how will we think being one with the outside or with the society, with the ecology? And you have put it very well in the well being section of your book. Would you please enlighten us or highlight a little bit more than what I could understand, and how I also look at water from that perspective?
Yeah. See, actually, when it is called it about the book, the ideas for life is only in the last few chapters,
Yes,
actually. Okay. So, like the
yes,
healthy drinker and the conscious drinker and the meditative drinker, like that, the three, four chapters I
yes,
put. All that, let us talk about the 300, 320 pages of the book. Only 40 pages is for the ideas for the life, and the balance
yes.
260 pages I am
You
telling
already
about, yeah,
spill
I
the
am,
beans about the
yeah,
secret.
yeah. I'm talking only about you respect the water. This is happened to your body. This is
Yes,
happened to your situation.
yes.
Religion is looking into this way. So you respect the water, because unless
Mm,
you don't start respecting the water,
mm,
you
mm,
cannot get the benefit out of that actually.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
See,
mm.
because today everybody in our things we thinking that drinking water is only for the taste, but it's not
Yes.
like that.
No, it's
So
not
that's
like
why the
that.
reason you think that everyone think that okay, instead of a water, I will use with the Coca-Cola, or I will use with the
Mm,
Pepsi, or I will use with this any mineral water,
mm,
or like
mm,
that. So I just wanted to control my taste, but
mm,
it's not like that. Taste is the
mm,
one way of the dehydration. It is the highest
mm, mm,
indication of the dehydration.
mm,
So I taken each and every object, like your
mm,
guts, your saliva, your
mm,
body, and their different chapter I given and different perspectives I given, how the water is entering into the body, what are all the
mm,
things is happen. People thinking it is just for the taste and it is just
mm.
transporting the electrolyte and taking the pen
Yes.
and dumping it.
The way we are taught
Yeah,
in school, actually.
it's like that
We are
only.
stuck at H2O
Yes,
and the water cycle, that little
right.
water cycle which had only four steps, but actually we have more than four,
Yeah.
11 or
So
21.
right, right. So there I am talking about what is happening in your stomach, what is happening in your heart, and the moreover, I given a very good chapter, very elaborate chapter about the brain power, because
Yes.
the water is our brain is only the size of our fist actually. It is only the 1/50th of our body weight, but it is consume around 25% of the electricity and
Yes.
the energy, and equal amount of this thing. It is a high energy consumption organ, and there all this function is actually the mercy of the water. The waters
Mm,
provide the electrical energy required for that thing, and
mm,
if your brain cells are properly hydrated, then only you can think it over. So 1% of dehydration means 3% of your cognitive problems, and
yes.
2% of dehydration, water shortage in your body, will
Mm,
create 5% of
mm,
cognitive disability. Even
mm,
so many communicative, sorry, the degenerative diseases, the like
mm,
Alzheimer. People, the recent
mm,
study is finding that Alzheimer is caused by the dehydration,
mm,
because when
mm,
you don't have the water in your for a period of time, the water,
mm,
brain cells started shrinking, and because of that thing, the memory is going like that.
mm,
So much of the things are there. So it is too much of a information whether I can able to discuss. So end of the day, then I am telling about that how to start your day with the water. There are small small tips about that, what you will happen when you are having, when you are waking up and taking one glass of water and start your day with that. Then what is
Mm.
the importance of having a sip by sip water rather than taking a
Yes.
water as a gulp.
With
So
the
every
gulp.
period of it, because you need your energy on a continuously, water required in your body or
Mm.
continuously, you have to
Mm.
feed it continuously to the water. So
Mm.
like
Mm.
that, that is the thing. And what important when you doing with the water, when water sports, how we can be create into that thing. And
Mm.
when you are
Mm.
in the mentally stressed situation, how a waterfall can help you to regenerate
Mm.
yourself.
Mm.
When you are
Mm.
feeling sad, how a sea tide
Mm.
can be calm you, and what is the science behind that.
Mm.
And when you are spending a time with a waterfall, what is change is happening in your body. So these are all the things, and then I am inviting and encouraging the people to not only drink enough water, and and go with the water, and have your vacations with the water body, with your family, engage in the water sport activities. These are all the things is the water ideas for life with the small small tips. So these small things can take care of your long time life in actually. So one interesting thing is recently we are doing it actually. We are educating. One of my things, our water idea for life foundation, we are
Mm.
creating a foundation, and then there the ultimate game of this foundation is to going into all the corporate offices and the whole school, and initiating some kind of a remaining which is called as water bell. As you said
Mm.
that, because 3 liters of water we require, people are telling 2 liters, 3 liters, because it's a seasonal basis. But when you are morning 1 liter, lunchtime 1 liter, and evening 1 liter will not get that. You need the
Mm.
water on a sip by sip. So we wanted to encourage the school to have a water bill kind of a reminder. So every half an hour, then one bill will be there. So that is the time for the students to drink the water. What are this kind of a small initiation, but these small points, the small steps can make so much wonder in your life, so much changes in your life. And if you tomorrow morning you start with one glass of water in your empty stomach, and the stomach full of water, practice it for 2 minutes, you can see that how your stomach is happy about you, stomachs will thankful to you. So like that, so many ideas I have given in my book. So that was
Mm.
written as many names are suggested in the book, but I thought of that, even though it's a small portion, let it be a water ideas for life is my book name. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And I must say to all the audience and participants here, the thing is, when you read the book, you feel that, oh, I know this. But the thing is, you know it is different, but you realize it is different. So there are a lot of commonsensical things in the book which you have heard somewhere, read somewhere, or it comes as a genetic knowledge to you. Because, I mean, just 2 days ago, I was reading it so much with so much of interest, how breast milk, which is also a form of water, how it is not only a resource for the child or to fulfill his hunger or thirst, but it is also carrying the genetic memory from the mother, and
Yes.
lot of skill sets that is transferred through the milk from the mother to the child up after the child is out. As likewise, there are many things in the book which once you read it, you think that, so I knew it, what's the big deal? But then when you see it all together, uh, you realize that why this kind of writing simple things is so important for all of us to realize it. And I can bet, if I understand you for this little conversation we had, this book is not written for you to make a sale out of it, and make a big publication out of it in terms of how many copies it gets sold. But it is something which you have experienced, or which you would like all of us to experience, something written from heart, something written which you have written as your own experience, you have put words into it. And probably what I felt by the time I was done with the book is that you know it. It's just that it is time that you sit back, relax, and think about it. Knowing is not enough. that you start realizing and appreciating and even practicing it. How many of us knew before I even got into water sector, that how you should drink water? You know, even the best intended people in the water sector still don't take that in account, you know. So preaching and practicing becomes very, very different unless and until you start realizing what you're talking and what you're writing. The fact that you wrote the book after having some realization, some experience, that makes it a powerful idea to me. Not the entire content in the sense that, oh, something completely out of the world Suresh has come up with. In fact, something completely inside the world, which is there, which is everywhere around in our everyday life, is put together in this book. And for me, that is the powerful idea I feel in this book. And the fact that we all agree, those who work in the water sector, is the apathy of the state of perception and preference of water as a resource, as a commodity. How much can we extract, how much can we take out of it? Today, if I look at the statistics, it really gives me shivers when I see that an urban person, middle class and elite, consumes from 4,000 to 6,000 liters of water per day, which many people do not agree. But please go and calculate your water footprint. You will find that, which is really embarrassing when we see that a poor person barely gets 20 liters per day water to consume everything put together, virtual water and real water, physical water, every kind of water. And a poor person pays 20 times more per liter for the water than an average middle class and upper class person pays for the water. And the very fact, this whole commodification of water, is what I was trying to tell you when I said that the very water discourse started with water crisis, not considering water as a spiritual entity or something to acknowledge and appreciate in life. And the crisis brought a market or commodification, where we are constantly trying to look at water, how much energy, how much water. And now water is in the Sensex also, in Nifty, in New York trade, in London trade. So water has become one of the biggest commodity. And you look at all the big business houses, from Google to all everyone, all this AI, you look at the big hubs, it is all water guzzling initiatives. Big corporates are investing in future waters, and that is going to bring a serious problem. We are shifting towards a serious capitalistic way, where water is already in trade. We may not realize it as middle class and upper class, who can afford to get water or buy water at this point in time. But the biggest inequality in the society is coming from the asymmetric distribution of water, because water is not seen beyond resource. It is seen as a resource to exploit, to commodify, to sell. And this is unfortunately also the government's way of doing it. And you also talk about it in your, I will use the word caution, in a cautionary manner, that we need to look at water beyond resource. What do you mean by that? I mean, I expressed my, I will say, frustration or anger, the way the world is moving on and the conflicts which are growing, whereas water should be tool for peace. Instead, it has become a tool for war, or capitalists are accumulating their water. Tomorrow, maybe you and I may also not be able to afford the water which is coming up. India, among the top countries to have water crisis, more than 20 cities, starting with Chennai, Bangalore, Ahmedabad, serious problem, Delhi, serious problem. And when we talk about water crisis, it's not only shortage of water, flood, drought, asymmetric distribution of water between rich and poor is the biggest crisis, I say. And I'm always talking about water crisis is more moral crisis today, fueled by capitalism, fueled by educated elites like us. And it is the very fact that we all look at water as a resource. How is Suresh looking at water after this book?
Yeah, it's actually, what you rightly said is that because nobody was given any kind of importance to the water as on
Hmm.
now, whether it is a government side or a family side
Hmm.
or a society side or something. And the disparity of usage, what you rightly said, is very huge. Even in the Indian, this water consumption manual or a water manual also, you
Mm.
can see that a pure farmer will consume only 50 to 60 liters of water per day. A middle
Yes.
class family will consume around 150 to 250 liters of water per day. I'm talking about the direct consumption,
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I add the virtual water also with the
yeah,
amount of
like that.
shopping and fashion
Yeah. So I'm
and
not
acquisition.
considering 1 kg rice will take 2,500 liters of water. Let us
Yes.
keep this aside. So, but
Yes.
when you are talking about the high net worth individuals, individuals or a high class society, they use around 600 to 800 liters of water per day. So this is the one
Mm.
area. And when it
Mm.
is coming into the agricultural side or something, you can see that I used to tell to my students, and whenever I'm going to the talk in student, that the water is highly
Mm.
subsidized to the agricultural. And you can see
Yes.
that when you are passing through any rural area, you can see that water is simply letting out, because it is
Mm.
coming as a free. Nobody is
Mm.
monitoring it, that thing actually. And
Mm.
even if somebody start monitoring everybody, because you can pay 100 rupees to 200 rupees for a Swiggy delivery or an Amazon delivery, but 60
Mm.
to 70 rupees per month for a water bill, you will crib. Okay, that is the
Mm.
situation, if like that. So
Mm.
what I'm trying to tell it in through my book is there, that first you aware about your
Yes.
water. Second, you respect. And third,
Mm.
be a responsible consumer. Okay,
Yes.
responsible consumer in terms of your industry, in terms of your daily lives, or in terms of this thing. So that what will happen once you started consuming responsibly, you behave consumably. One day, what will happen? The society will follow. At least your next generation will follow. So that up to a certain amount, you can avoid the scarcity. And by the good thing is there, that whatever the water is available 2 million years ago, still that water is here. But the problem is
Mm.
there today, because of the pollution, more water is in the air than the ground. So that is the
Yes.
problem. So that's why the reason all this climate change is taking place, sudden
Mm.
flood is happening, because you know that the moisture content in the water content in the moisture is higher. So more
Mm.
water is getting evaporated, and it
Mm.
is condensed through, because once it is gone up, it has to come back. So that's why the
Mm.
flash flooding, all those things is taken place. So, but when you
Mm.
are a responsible consumer in terms
Mm.
of water, at least you can. Create the climate change based on the water to a certain extent
Mm.
with a good policy. So this is what I try to talk in your one chapter in the last stage, like how it has come to your it's a conclusion chapter of my book. So I am doing it my bit in that
Yes,
hearing
we all have to do our bit.
your bit.
And
Yes.
again, it reminds me of Rumi, and I just love him, to be honest. Other than Tao and Confucius, uh, you may be a drop in the ocean, but in that drop lies the entire ocean. So a composition
Yeah.
of a drop is same as a composition of the ocean.
Right.
And what a good way to actually halt the conversation for now and open it up to all the participants here. Feel free. You don't need to ask questions. Just share your emotions. Share whatever you would like to, whatever we had discussed so far. It is okay if you have not read the book, but I highly encourage you to read the book. These sessions are actually not meant to only promote, which often gets promoted, but the intention is to have the conversation, because the author really takes time to put every every emotion in them into words. And it is not easy to write a book, but it is definitely easy that we can express and share concerns or celebrate the very essence and aspect of life, that is water. And how nice it will be. And personally, I dream of a day that everyone in every family is talking about water. That's just the way we talk about a lot of trivial things in life, including cricket for that matter. I'm not a big fan of cricket, sorry for that. But about films, about sports, I would really dream a day in my society where we are talking about water, where we're talking about in every day how to save, how to appreciate. We do, but we do it without thinking, without realizing. And I wish that we have that coffee table discussion, dining table discussion, bedroom discussion on water. That's my dream, to be honest. And that is why we are running this conversation for nearly, we complete 5 years this December, but the conversations are running for 4.5 years. 425 sessions, more than 600, nearly 700 speakers have touched our lives and your lives. All these sessions are open access, available education. I can bet with any university you will not find the amount of knowledge. It is not a competition, but the fact that water education is not happening in the country the way it should be, there are many consuming courses, disciplines, fashion, management. I'm not against them, but there are only handful of courses on water. You can actually count in these fingers the amount of water education happening in this country. Trust me on that. I did this research 2015 when I started thinking how can we increase water education in this country and what can be a very unusual way of water education. And I feel that water conversation is a good way of water education. And that's also the tagline of W4W. Water conversations are crucial for water conservation. That's how we have been running. We have touched more than 10,000 participants in our shows, by the way. And I would like to thank all the participants at this point for their patience and also listening to both of us. I hope it made some sense to you, and I would like to invite you still, if you would like to add few lines, few points, please unmute yourself, open your video. We would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I will do the vote of thanks and call it off for the day. Let's give few seconds to all the participants. Okay, I'm not seeing any digital hand raised or any point raised, but there is Anand Kumar who has unmuted himself. Anand,
Great.
would you like to go ahead? Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I've joined in between around
No,
5:40. I have another meeting I just completed and joined.
please go
So,
ahead.
I know Mr. Suresh sir was my ex-boss. I know him last more than 20 years, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So, after reading the book, I felt very happy that initially I thought that he has written in the technical points because he is my technical
Because he
boss,
is
I would say.
technically, yes, sound.
Technically,
Yes.
I got surprised that he has mentioned many things which regularly we are using the water, but we never known that 90%, 95% when we born, when we started our life with water, many things we never heard about it. It was very interesting, and we are expecting more books and more knowledge from him. So every time I'm feeling that I'm getting new knowledge and new into after meeting him or after having conversation with him or after reading his book. So
Mhm.
I would like to thank him and the conversation I was listening. It was very amazing. I wanted to participate or I wanted to make an audience in future also. Just invite me for future your conference or in the meeting.
Sure. I would like to announce, thank you so much, Anand. I would like to announce to everyone that if you have a water enthusiasm or if you are working on water, if you have something to share, let me just tell again that we have three formats: Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, which we are going to close soon on 100 sessions. And to celebrate the 100 sessions, I am really pleased to share with you that Medha Patkarji has agreed to close the session with 100 sessions. And on January 12th, we are most likely to have her at 5 p.m. That's our Monday Munching. We have profiled more than 120 women in the water sector. That was the very idea to do it. Next Wednesday, we are having biodiversity series on December 1st, and we are touching upon the Aravali range, the protective ecosystem beyond mountains. As you know, that there has been some serious problematic Supreme Court judgment from the government's proposal. And the youth is on the street, and I support the youth wholeheartedly, to be honest, because they have to take charge of the future. We are discussing with no other than someone very well known. We call him the father of water, Rajendra Singh ji, and we have Dr. Indira Khurana to discuss Aravali and its impact on water, air, and other things. Then we have actually every year at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, Friday Waters invites meet a maestro. So we invite some legend from the water sector or someone around who talks about water or works on water. Last year we had Devdutt Patnaik ji inaugurating our 2025 year. This year we have from Aquadam Dr. Himanshu Kulkarni, who will be our Meet a Maestro. And the date is yet to be finalized with him, but we will keep you informed. All these informations are there at www.w4w.in for your perusal. And if you have anything, if you know a speaker, if you are a speaker, do write to us at helloww4w@gmail.com. Ganesh Natarajan, please open your video so that on YouTube and on later video editing, we see you. We want to humanize the event. Over to you,
Hello.
Ganesh.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, Manasi. Nice to go through the complete conversation and regarding the book, Mr. Suresh. I've been knowing the past 15 years, and he's a partner for me to do the jobs here in water treatment. I'm also into the water treatment. So the one.
Nice. So you can be our speaker. See, this is how we are fishing speakers. I see fishing.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Regarding this book, Mr. Suresh has given this book a long time before, 8 or 9 months before something, I hope. I started reading like it's because Mr. Suresh is my passionate friend and co-fielder. But thing is like when I started reading, I was amazed to say that this book is like in a very easily friendly readable version. There is no such big grammatical tenses and all, so that it's not like a literature. It's like a free flow as like water. So
absolutely. That's what I said, that we all have this information in our head somewhere. Suresh has put it together.
Exactly. So happy to know this. And Mr. Suresh was telling about this water conservation sometime before. I want to be a part of it also in sooner or later time. So let me know how to be part of you with this all this. I'm not a probable speaker, but I have some little bit thoughts on water. I can also share in later stages.
Sure, definitely. Thank you so much, Ganesh, for your feedback and also in self-nominating yourself. We love that. And Suresh is there to connect you with us.
Yeah,
we have the Wednesday format where we do panel discussions. So we can have a panel discussion. And that brings me to the last question. And I think many people who know you, Suresh, because I know you for very less time, just few months, and I fished you from Ahmedabad University, where I'm teaching water studio. A technocrat, all the time working on wastewater. It gives me a very natural sense that there is something that is shaking spiritually inside when you are working with such serious problem. Is that the reason why it was, soul searching for you, or what was your last comments for the session?
Okay.
A technocrat writing spiritual, why?
Good question, actually. Life sometimes life throw you a lot of surprises to you, actually. Okay, before that, thank you, Anand and Ganesh, for the compliment and your comments. Okay, it's very nice to hear for those words from you. See, I come into the water treatment field very accidentally, actually. I never thought of that. Before that, if you see that, even that also I written in my preface in that thing about I born into a very superstitious family, and then because of that I became an atheist, and then it was a conflict. And
so like rebel child,
because I born in the emergency. One of the time India is going through very bad thing like that,
okay,
actually.
Same with me.
Okay. So then when I gone through my life threatening situation because of the jaundice and other thing, and then I'm seeing that my mother and my aunt and my relatives are putting lot of trust on the God and other things. So the atheist point of view was been a little bit of shaken, and then I became moreover like a seeker than a believer. So then what will happen after that incident is happened in my life? It is a turning point. Then I slowly come into the water treatment by accident. Then I've been into various part, and fortunately I've been into the design and project side of the water. And I went into the wastewater and effluent side. I handled so many projects with very, very, hazardous liquid management. Actually, all this Anand, Ganesh, all these people are my colleagues in so many areas. Still, I am working with all these people, so they know about the journey which we are going into. That thing is actually. So the more you understand the water, it will reveals more to you. That is the right thing,
Absolutely.
actually. Absolutely. Then what will happen? The more you give something to the water, it will take care of you in a different way. So it will calm you. Okay, it will make you calm. And that slowly your behavior will be something similar to the water when you understand that. It actually, I don't know, that is a spirituality or a connection or is an umbilical cord connection or something like that. We don't know. Maybe that 70% in your body or in your brain, maybe playing into that thing is there. So I really know that I was a changed man after that. The more years I worked in the water, more, I am very conservative about so many things. I'm every time I'm thinking about that. Water is my god, and whatever I am doing it, that because I don't pray for anything else. Actually, I always do my work as my work is worship kind of a person I am. So I think that every time I'm doing something to the water, it is actually is something I'm giving back to the society. Something is doing for my assistance, and something which I can proudly tell to my grandchildren that, you see, I've done something, and before I gone, and it is your job to carry over from the things, actually. Yeah. So Mahatma Gandhi used to tell that the water is the one which was not you got it by the right. You are just taken the loan from your children.
Yes,
So give it as it
absolutely.
is to them. So that is what my motto. Yeah, that's
That's
only.
that's a very way to put, and also many people don't know that the quote of Mahatma Gandhi became the foundation of the Sustainable Development
Yeah,
Goals, actually from the United Nations. But what a good way to end with a line from Taoism, because the question from me was how a technocrat thinks about spirituality, and to me, honestly, it is so much related to water as well. And I bring quote from Tao Te Ching or Taoism as you may like to know. Soft is strong. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it, means water. This is from the prose of Tao prose number or chapter number 78 out of this little book that he wrote. And be like water, as you rightly mentioned. Thank you so much, Suresh Madampil, for this
yeah,
wonderful session. And thanks all of you for attending it. Please take care of yourself. Keep yourself hydrated. You are that little plant in that little room or your house that needs sunshine, that needs air, and definitely it needs water to flourish and to nourish. Thank you so much, all of you. Please take care. As I already mentioned, next week we are having some wonderful sessions, or the week after. Wish you all the best for Christmas greetings and New Year wishes. Take care and see you soon. Bye bye.
thank you everyone. Yeah,
Bye.
bye.